Hello.
Hello, Josh. It's Rowan from Silver Tiger Media. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
Excellent, thank you. It's great to speak with you. Thank you very much for your time.
No, my pleasure. Thanks for taking the time.
Pleasure indeed. Well, what terrific news. You will be back to see us. Your last visit was back in 2015 to Australia. Would that be right?
I'm not exactly sure. That sounds right, but I couldn't tell you.
It'd be so hard to keep track. I mean, but I remember at the time audiences were just delighted with your performances. You've been here a few times now. Are we starting to hold a soft spot for Joshua?
Yeah, I always love being in Australia to play concerts because, people there, the Aussies were some of my first fans. And so I've been coming there for years. And it just takes me a while to get back. It takes me about, every couple of years I get to come back.
Well, it's sensational you are coming back. We have you from the 18th of May, starting off in Perth, and then travelling around to Melbourne and finishing off in Australia on the 27th of May. So it's a good little while. Will you have time for a look around, do you think?
Yeah, I'm playing a tour in China right before the tour in Australia. And so this will be great because usually when I come to play Australia, I'm so jet lagged that even when I have time off to look around in Australia, my clock, my biological clock is so off that it tends to ruin it. So this time I'm going to be over the jet lag, and I'm also going to be in New Zealand right after Australia, and I've never been to New Zealand before, so I figured I'd take a week and hang out in New Zealand and Australia after the tour and really see some things because I've only been to Australia once before in my life with my family just to look around. And I got to see some amazing things. I got to go horseback riding in the outback and snorkeling on the Great Barrier Reef and, taking boat rides and helicopter rides and all those things that you want to do when you're in Australia. So this time around, I'll be able to do that again. So I'm so excited for this tour.
Oh, sensational. So pleased that we have the opportunity for you to stay a little while, because I noticed you have quite a big run of shows even through March and April with William Fitzsimmons. Joshua, what do you enjoy most about performing live? I've changed it in the last couple of years. I used to write out a set list and bring out a full band and, try to make it something bigger. And the last couple of years, I've found that not only do I love creating more of an intimate environment on stage, bringing less players with me, and not writing out a set list, doing it, taking a lot of requests, telling a lot of stories, and just being up there on stage and just having the audience feel like they're just hanging out with me and that I get to just hang out with them. I feel it's more fun that way. And so I've really come to enjoy playing live more in the last couple of years because every show is different. And when you have that spontaneity on stage, it's such a crazy adrenaline rush, and that's what I miss the most when I'm off stage. So I would say the last couple of years, I've really found my love for performing again. And I guess I can't wait to bring that feeling back to Australia. Oh, absolutely. Gee, that takes it to another dimension, doesn't it? Performing almost off the hip, as it were.
Exactly. I think that's one of the things that I've learned that is such a positive about having released 7 full albums and a few EPs already, is that there's so much material out there that I can just kind of pick and choose from which albums I want to play live, or sometimes I just, I'm sure at these shows in Australia I'll be playing some new songs that I've been working on. It's one of those things where I don't like to plan it out because then you lose spontaneity.
Oh, beautifully put. I guess it's fair to say that not many performers would start their career as late as you did, around about the age of 30, I guess. Now, yeah,
Is it possible that that spoken word aspect of your show, which is very much appreciated, do you think that maybe started off from a comfort point of view?
That's a good question. I think, when I first started playing music at 30, it was one of those things where I started writing songs just for myself, not to become a professional musician or to record the songs or to release them. And it was very clear early on that I needed to work on my stage presence because I never felt like I really needed to be on stage growing up. I didn't crave the spotlight. So after about a year of touring, when I released my first album in, I don't know, the early 2000s, something like that, 13, 12 years ago, something like that, I was playing every night in a different city, and that's where I got my stage legs. And I learned how to be comfortable on stage. And then it was really only a short time after that where I started really jonesing for the stage. And it only took about a year or two for me to feel like I love performing. Whereas I think most people that grow up playing music start at a very early age and always want to be performing for people. And I always wanted to do creative things that were behind the scenes. I never wanted people looking at me. So it took a while. And I think that the spoken word aspect of my show came about, completely organically, just by doing it over and over again every night and realizing that the more stories I told, in terms of the backstory of each song, or even just talking about what I did that day in that particular city, that people started to really appreciate, and I started to incorporate that into my live show. And I would say now maybe even a third of my show is talking.
Wow, but it really does involve the crowd into your show and you become one with the audience, as it were, not to overstate it, but that is how it feels.
Well, that's how I want it to feel, and I'm so glad that it comes across that way because I never want it to feel like, maybe it's just because that I didn't start out wanting to be a performer and I didn't have that urge, but I never wanted that wall between the stage and the audience. I always wanted to try to find a way to incorporate the audience and make them feel like that we're one and the same, that we're all in it together for that couple hours during the concert.
Oh, it certainly works. And Josh, with new creations like your most recent achievement, The Fall, which is a tremendous collection, by the way, beautiful. Is there something?
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Is there something particularly special for you about performing those tracks for the first time in front of an audience and watching them almost come to life, as it were, for you to enjoy that extra dimension?
Oh, yeah. My favorite thing on stage is to try out new stuff. It's the only way I can figure out if it's any good, by the reaction of the audience.
Josh, I remember you commenting after the release of Onwards and Sideways that you would love to get better at writing music around other people's lives rather than your own. Did you have any luck with that in writing The Fall?
Not yet, but I'm glad you remembered because I'm still trying to accomplish that goal in terms of writing. I tend to go back into writing what I know, which is me, and so it's still, I guess it's a long-term goal for me to really progress as a writer and be able to accomplish that sort of thing.
Oh, indeed, and it works so well. It must be difficult to stray from that proven formula. Onwards and Sideways was such an incredibly personal collection, and something many musicians would simply not wish to reveal about themselves to allow people in, as it were, so far. Has that honesty from one person that truly knows your thoughts, yourself, become an essential element in remaining capable of such brilliant songs?
Well, thank you so much. That's so kind of you to say. The only thing I have to say about that, I guess, is that I also learned very early on when I started writing songs that what people related to the most were stories about someone revealing all of themselves, making themselves truly vulnerable. And because that's so difficult to do, I find that's where I am able to reach the most people. And even when it's not the most people, it's that's how I reach people the most honestly. And I always found that when I go see a concert and I see an artist play, I can be a bit skeptical. I really want to see that artist bleed for me. You know, I really want to know that they're telling me something, that they really have something to say, that they're telling me something that they're scared to say. You know, that you can tell they were writing it for someone or about someone or something in their lives, and right before they wrote it, they said to themselves, "Do I want to reveal this? Is this too personal?" That's the question I ask before I write every song. And if I'm not asking myself that question, you know, is it really worthwhile? Is it really something I'm required to say, to give? You know what I mean?
I do. Well said. Absolutely. And of course, I never wish to cross the line into intrusive, and feel free to invite me to mind my own business or piss off if it's a little too much.
No, not at all. I mean, you could...
the songs that were received by the young lady in Sweden, did they go over well?
Yes, of course, because, you know, she knew when she started dating me that I'm a writer, and I take from my own life. And I think anyone that gets romantically involved with a writer, no matter what you write, whether it's songs, novels, poems, whether you're a painter, if you're an artist expressing yourself and your truth, then, you know, that's just one of those things where your mate has to understand that. And also, I would say, I don't think I ever wrote anything that was truly negative about her or really anyone that I've dated. It's more, I usually tend to be more self-deprecating. And when I find fault, it's usually within myself.
Absolutely, which is great fun in your show, I must say. But most people write a letter or send a card to somebody that they're romantically interested in that's lost forever. You create something lasting that's enjoyed by so many over the world.
Well, I do have a tough time. I think that's why songwriting has helped me, not only as a career, but in my personal life, because I use the guitar and the songs as a crutch, and it really just, it opens me up.
Oh, wonderful. And Joshua, I realise that you're pressed for time, and I cannot thank you enough for your time today. If I could ask you one final question.
No, I really... Oh, sure, of course.
Do you feel as though through the past, through studying of drawing at Northwestern University, acting as a teacher, a screenwriter, working as an art gallery, do you think you were always searching for that lacking something within yourself that music has fulfilled?
Yeah, and that's a good way to put it, but I wouldn't say that music has fulfilled it, because I really don't think that any creative person is ever truly fulfilled, because if you are, what's the point? You know, you might as well just quit. I've never talked to an artist, you know, with regard to any medium that has ever felt like, okay, I said it all. It's a lifelong mission. You know what I mean?
Oh, brilliant. I do indeed. And while you're in pursuit of that endless goal, we're the beneficiaries of your work. So thank you very much indeed, Joshua.
I appreciate so much you saying that, and thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Pleasure indeed. We'll look forward to seeing you as soon as you get here. Please travel safely, my friend.
I can't wait.
Magnificent. Take care.